102 years after Australia's first official air race, a reenactment of the race was underway at a purpose-built airfield at Serpentine, 50 kilometres northwest of Bendigo on the Loddon Valley Highway. In 1920, the air race was held at Serpentine to raise funds for repatriation of World War I veterans. Racing were 4 Australian Flying Corps Avro 504K biplanes. Today, a number of de Havilland DH-82 Tiger Moth biplanes have been brought together to race a circuit around central Victoria. The air race was being run in conjunction with an air show run by Paul Bennett Air Shows and included aircraft and flying displays from the Royal Australian Air Force. So sit back and enjoy the sights and sounds of this exciting historical event. The air show kicked off with some very impressive radio control model aerobatics.
Brad's really throwing around the side here. So many control inputs to make that look smooth. Coming into what we call 3D flying. So ball comes pretty close to this walk-in pose. Really going well. With the radial engine as opposed to Mel tells me that pitch 12 is a little underpowered. It takes a bit of effort to control. The aircraft, thus the Stinker name. First ones were called Stinkers. Elton when she bought it. The prototype S2 model. The prototype model 11.
The Wirraway trainer was produced by the Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation and was based on the North American Aviation NA-16 trainer aircraft. The Wirraway, powered by an Australian version of the Pratt & Whitney Wasp radial engine, proved versatile enough to fulfil a number of roles, including that of emergency fighter, dive bomber, trainer and reconnaissance aircraft, making it a true multi-role, multifaceted airframe. One of Paul Bennett's aerobatic aircraft is the Rebel 300, powered by a 300 horsepower Lycoming engine. The Unlimited aerobatic monoplane was designed by Zivco Aeronautics, who later redesigned the aircraft to become the Edge 540, which is now synonymous with the Red Bull Air Race series. The extremely nimble Rebel 300 is flown by Glenn Graham.
In the sky, flying to 300
The first race competitor to return to the field was VHBEN, the 1944 built Tiger Moth from RAAF base Point Cook. When selecting a winner, fuel consumption as well as flight time is taken into account.
This is the RAAF Tiger Moth, second oldest Tiger Moth in the country.
692 VHAWA, as the race commentator said, is the second oldest Tiger Moth in Australia and is now part of the RAAF Museum, also at Point Cook. During its interesting life, it was used as a trainer for the World War II Empire Air Training Scheme at Narromine and Temora in New South Wales. 692 was being piloted by Flight Lieutenant Brett Alderson and co-pilot Flight Lieutenant Chris Tulk.
Walking around with the brochures. There you go, they just made it over top. Nice wing waggle.
VH-PVZ was built in 1941 for the RAAF. After the war, it spent some time as a crop duster aircraft, later being restored back to the two-seat standard configuration in 1968. VH-GAV was built in 1943, and like most of the Tiger Moth aircraft competing in the race, it was built in Australia at de Havilland's Mascot factory.
That aircraft is just over the top of it, Delta Hotel Romeo. That's Don Gordon and training stealth.
VH-CXV was being piloted by Jason Cheney and co-pilot Paul Lamont. Built in 1939, CXV is a British-made Tiger Moth. It served with the Royal Air Force and the Royal Australian Air Force and was civilianised in 1946. Later it was acquired by the Royal Newcastle Aero Club. It is now finished in original English wartime colours. VH-DHR was assembled in Australia in 1942 using a fuselage built in England and Australian-made wings. DHR was being piloted by Don Gordon with co-pilot Tony Self.
Flying in an open cockpit at 1,000 or 2,000 feet off the ground, it can get a little cooler.
VH-AKE in RAAF livery was being piloted by Warren Manuel with co-pilot Chris Ellis. Decked out in Air Force Trainer yellow, VH-BTP was built in 1944. Adam Wright was the pilot and Gerald Waddington the co-pilot. Built in Australia in 1945, VH-BBC was ordered by the British government to be sent to South Africa or Rhodesia, but was not delivered and was retained by the RAAF.
and both Steve Coghlan, who have all helped to make sure that this show goes on.
From the 140 horsepower Gypsy Major Tiger Moth engines to a 400 horsepower Lyconing power plant, Paul Bennett starts his aerobatic display in spectacular fashion in his Wolf Pitts Pro. The Wolf Pitts Pro is capable of a maximum speed of over 400 kilometres per hour, with a climb rate of 4,000 feet per minute.
Going to finish inverted and attempt a full forward flip. Top of him while he does this manoeuvre. Not only to slow the aircraft down because it doesn't have any flaps, but also so he can actually see the runway. It's very hard to see under the nose of this aircraft, so he actually side slips to pick up the runway. Beautiful touchdown there by Paul. Well, that concludes Paul's solo display for today.
Paul Bennett's display was definitely a hard act to follow, but the RAAF's crack aerobatic team, the Roulettes, were well qualified to do that.
From behind now, ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Australian Air Force Roulettes in eagle formation. As we spoke about before, today you will be viewing the Roulette High Show, which is the most dynamic show the team can perform. It will demonstrate the full capability of both the team and the PC-21 aircraft that we fly. The team today is led by Squadron Leader Mark Kerritts as Roulette 1. Roulette 2 is Flight Lieutenant Ben Ness. Roulette 3, Flight Lieutenant Trent Sherman. Roulette 4, Flight Lieutenant Ben Hepworth. Roulette 5, Flight Lieutenant Dan Barclay. And at the back of the pack, Roulette 6, Nathan Stankovicius. You can see the team is now positioned for fly past in leader's benefit. Roulettes 2 to 6 fly side past. Now Roulette 5 and 6 have joined forces for the mirror, a move made famous in the movie Top Gun. Flying at just 500 feet, there'll only be 3 metres separation between the two aircraft. Performing the corkscrew today is Flight Lieutenant Ben Hepworth, who grew up in Hobart. He began flying at the age of just 16. Today's solo display is by Roulette 5, Dan Barclay, who grew up on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. He graduated pilot's course and became the youngest flying instructor at just 22 years of age. This is Dan's 3rd season with the Roulettes, and today he will display the solo performance characteristics of the PC-21 through a vertical roll and maximum performance turn. They'll then come past for a fly past. The smoke you see coming from the aircraft today is a mixture of fuel and mineral oil, which is generated by the pods on the wings. Not only is it impressive for the display, but it also improves safety by helping pilots avoid each other's weight, turbulence, and help maintain position. In the wedge formation, a barrel roll to the right.
The North American Aviation T-28 Trojan went into production between 1950 and 1957, designed to replace the T-6 Texan. Although primarily an advanced trainer, it saw service during the Vietnam War.
That beautiful sound around that rather large radial engine there. How good was that sound, ladies and gentlemen? T-28 Trojan first flew as the XT-28 in September 1949, and it had a tail wheel configuration. So like the aerobatics aircraft and the Wirraway and all that, it sat on the tail wheel.
Paul Bennett's variant, built in 1964, is the T-28B, which has a 1,425 horsepower right radial engine, driving a 3-bladed propeller, and is fitted with a belly-mounted air brake.
Student pilots would come out for their very first flight to strap into something. From the T-28 Bravo onwards, had an upgraded engine to the 1,425 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower. below the belly, helping to slow the aircraft. The Victor Air Cruiser Air Tourer. But there you go, big wave for Paul.
These two Boeing biplanes were among a number of fly-in aircraft that attended the event. VHPUD is the Stearman and PWS a B-75N1.
As you can see from the results today, so I think it's all very and along the way with the gates there was
Another fly-in worth noting was the 1929 Curtiss-Wright Robin J1, probably the oldest aircraft at the air show.
Really about what you're trying to.
This impressive-looking firefighting aircraft is an Air Tractor AT802. It is powered by a 1010 kilowatt Pratt & Whitney turboprop.
You'll hear the siren and then he'll open the doors. So Steve will do that drop like he's just done and strung that out. He's doing some ag work, but it's a very impressive aeroplane, very agile, and these guys really know how to handle.
Oh yeah, 1700 shaft horsepower at about 1700 RPM. E146 come up from Richmond, watching a couple of seats and a fire boss that were coordinating everything. And actually it was very interesting. We got a little bit of dust swell on the path.
Paul Bennett's Grumman TBM-3 Avenger is an immaculate example of the World War II American torpedo bomber. Entering service in 1942, the Avenger first saw action in the Battle of Midway. It was the largest and heaviest single-engine aircraft of World War II.
So what they did was they painted symbols.
Paul's Avenger is powered by a twin-row 14-cylinder Wright Cyclone radial that produces 1,950 horsepower.
Now the Avenger was demonstrated to the public just after this one. Imagine a couple of these coming past the town. And back on terra firma. Now if you watch closely you'll see the rudder moving back and forth. how big this aircraft is. Oh, there goes the wings.